Alrighty.
Are you recording?
Okay, so we are indeed live on Facebook. So welcome everybody, and there will be some watching right from the start as well on the replay. So welcome to Love Speaks Love, everybody. I am Denise, your host, and I have two wonderful guests with me today. I will start with Alessandra because she's been on before. So Alessandra Gilioli has been a guest before, and we've spoken about many things before. I'm not sure if we've actually specifically spoken about dragons, but we are going to do that today. And also Kev Humphrey, who also known as English Mystic. And the three of us, one of the reasons why I wanted to pull us all together today, Kev has a monthly Dragon Thunder chat, and Alessandra was one of his guests, and it just came up in that. And I don't think either of you actually expanded on it, but you both mentioned that you had been awakening and working with dragons beneath churches, and I went, oh, that's interesting, because that's something that I've been doing as well since returning to England from Australia 7 years ago. So, and I don't think I've heard other people chat about that. So we want to speak about our experiences with that, and in whatever other direction our dragon friends take us. So I'm going to just share this live to a few places, and while I'm doing that, whoever wants to start first, if you just, for those that don't know you, just give a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit of how you how dragons came into your world, and then we will do a little heart-to-heart connect after that as well. So who would like to start?
Kevin.
I was going to say ladies first. That's fine. Hello, Facebook Live and wherever else this is going, and all those people on replay. I'm Kevin Paul Humphrey, also known as the English Mystic. English because I am English, and Mystic because it covers all of my skills. So I'm a Reiki master, a Rahani celestial energy healer practitioner, and a shamanic practitioner with all those lovely certificates and even a diploma. And I'm registered with the government, so I'm good and I'm insured. So I use my healing skills a lot, and I do lots of healing, shamanic healings and Reiki healings with people all over the world on Zoom, because the energy will travel wherever it wants to. And dragons came in as part of my sort of shamanic healings quite a few years ago, and they're very big in my life, and they talk to me and tell me lots of different things that they want me to do. But the very first time I met a dragon was when I was riding my horse, and there's a story behind that, but I'll make it quite short. But basically this dragon landed in our reality and scared the bejeebers out of my horse, and of course made me think I'd lost the plot. And then, sort of long story short, I found out that dragon's actually in my shamanic temple, and it assists me all the time as a beautiful water dragon. So yeah, that's a brief thing about me. Over to the beautiful ladies.
Over to you, Alessandra. Thank you. Kevin, that was awesome.
Hi, Kevin. That's really funny because I feel I had a similar experience in that. The first time I met a dragon, I was in a temple in Japan, and it scared me. It just really scared me. And so I was in the temple in Japan. I noticed that there was a big giant Buddha statue, but I really noticed that the decorations in the temple were very dragon, everything dragon, and it looked like, I mean, they were embedded in the ceiling and the carving of the wood, and it looked like the Buddha statue was plonked there. I mean, it might have been plonked for 1,000 years, but it could have been 1,500 years of the dragon. So I looked at it and I thought, well, hello there. And it just literally popped out almost physically, but physically energetic, and it roared in my face. And I was like, oh, maybe I did something wrong. And so, and that was my introduction. Versus for many years before that, maybe 15 years before that, I've been communing with galactic frequency, very fairy frequency, and star crystal energy. And so the dragon felt very animal. And I don't mean um, unawakened animal, but very raw and just, roaring in your face. And so it took me a few days to calibrate and understand that I just needed a whole different way of approaching this energy. And so after years of working with this energy, I've come up with a feeling that my feeling is dragon energy as an abstract or general feeling for me is like the missing puzzle piece that explains everything. For example, if I think of the cells in our body, there's dragon energy, missing piece, we got to put it in. If I think of how the universe is made and the structure of it, I'm missing dragon energy. It's almost like saying we live in a patriarchal culture. Where's the missing link of the feminine? Like, how does it fit in? And I'm not saying that all dragon energy is feminine, but it's one of the big, secret, mysterious, hidden keys that it brings in. The end. And I'm Alessandra Gilioli. I grew up in Italy. When I was 18, I went to America, stayed in San Diego for 10 years. So I got the sun and avocados and smoothies. And then 10 years in Chicago, where I got the wind. And there's lots of wind and cold, but family. And then now I'm back to Italy, and it's been 3 years. And that's where the churches and the dragons came in. The end.
Thank you. And as I haven't really introduced myself, I will similar themes to both of you as well. And I too am a Reiki master, have been for 20 years this year. Started off as a nurse, so had a very different view of the body. But I've been on this kind of less mainstream journey for quite a while. I am a sound alchemist as well, so I work with sound and light language, and I express light language through the written form as well, and have worked on the land for many years. And I moved to Australia in 2004, and when I lived in Byron Bay, and I wrote a book, and dragons featured in the book. And the work that I was doing on the land, I realized that I was connecting with dragons when I was doing that, as many of us do, even if we're not actually conscious of it. And I've been back in England. I left Australia in 2017 and found myself working with the dragons even more deeply here. And we will get onto the church stuff shortly. But one of the things that we do with Love Speaks Love, so I've been hosting Love Speaks Love for 4 years now. And more recently, I've been doing a lot of dragon chats with people. It's felt like the dragons really want to make their presence known. And this year, I think it's going to be Dragon this, Dragon that, after February, when it is Chinese Year of the Wood Dragon. So it feels particularly this year that they want to be acknowledged, kind of, really, and want more interaction with us. So when we start Love Speaks Love, we normally do a little heart-to-heart connect. So I think I'll bring that in now. So if anybody wishes to close their eyes for this, feel free to do that, as I ask us to just take some breaths into our heart space in the center of our chest. And one of the things about Love Speaks Love, and one of my intentions in the world and the work that I do, is to encourage us to be living from our hearts. So to practice that, we can just bring our awareness to our hearts and breathe love into our hearts. And feeling the love moving all over our bodies, into all of our energy lines, all of our energy centers. And let us extend our heart awareness out to the heart of the earth, to Mother Earth's heart. And I feel, when I do that, I feel my energy going deep into the earth, to the center, to the crystalline core, connecting with the new earth grids of energy. And there are also dragon grids of energy there. So connecting to those energy grids of the dragons too. And as we connect our hearts to the heart of Gaia, feeling Gaia's love moving into our bodies, feeling that heart-to-heart connection, but also feeling her love and her appreciation of us for all that we are and all that we do. And feeling that motherly love and that real knowing of who we are, all of us. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of the sun. So connecting our heart to the heart of the sun and feeling the sun's energy, those solar codes, moving into our bodies, moving into our hearts, into every cell. And again, all the energy centers and the energy lines. And I'm feeling some appreciation in my heart for the solar energy and all the photons of light that we've been receiving through the sun. And extending our heart awareness out now to the heart of Source Creator, to the cosmic heart. And feeling that cosmic energy moving into our bodies and feeling all of this energy moving up and down our spinal column. And connecting the hearts together of we three on Love Speaks Love together, but also everybody, and thank you for joining us, everybody who's with us on the live or on the replay, feeling all of our hearts connecting all over the earth. As many of us, we're all located in different places around the planet, and feeling that beautiful weaving of energy of all of our hearts. And I will hand over to you, Kev, first, and just see if there's anything you wish to add to the mix here. Oh, and just acknowledging the hearts of all the dragons with us as well, feeling their presence. And then over to you, Kev.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, I put a little very short mantra together, and it's this. In this enchanting realm where hearts unite beneath the cosmic canopy of day and night, let's connect heart to heart in this sacred space. I invite the sun's heart, radiant and bright, and the cosmic heart, a celestial light. Dragons, majestic, I ask you to join our circle today. Bring us your love, your wisdom, pure and true, and so be it.
Beautiful, thank you. And Alessandra, over to you.
I've been feeling these maybe for a few days now. It feels like we're being, what's the word? There's a flock of crystalline dragons or baby dragons, and they're flying around us in a circle. But I think behind them there's more dragons, and maybe different ages or sizes, but it just feels cute, sweet, light, very, very new, very, very sparkly, just happy, happy. And they were kind of dancing or repeating the words as Kevin, as you were saying them, and so kind of feels like a complete cycle.
Beautiful. Thank you both. Alessandra, your voice seemed a little quiet to me there, so I can still hear you, but
I'm speaking normally now. I was speaking too softly? That is different now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe just let us know in the comments if we're kind of roughly equal. Okay, so you both shared some of your initial experience of dragons, but I'd love you to share, before we get into the church and the dragons that we've been working with there, I'd love to share a little bit more about the dragon energy and how you, and I'll just say that for me, it just feels like pure unconditional love from the dragons. And there's many frequencies of dragon energy. There's kind of many realms of dragon energy almost. But the common feeling that I always get is unconditional love. Although there's a fierceness there, but pure love is what I get more than anything else. But I'd love to hear how the dragons kind of feel for you, maybe how you know that they're there as well, and anything really that drops in that you'd like to share about them.
I'll go. um, the dragons feel very different, and maybe I'm weird and I feel different kinds of dragons or categories, and yet they don't fit in any category for me. Um, it they feel unexpected. Maybe my route into everything starts with fairies, as I had dreams that I was a fairy even as a child, and my molecular structure would change. There would be more air or space in the atoms, so I would be more dense, and I was a fairy. So I think that my route is maybe fairy dragons to begin with and crystal ones. And the feeling is I feel a vastness. They feel vast. They feel like a portal. They feel connected to many realms. There's always more to see. They're very good at reflecting back to me or to us or my clients who we need to know that we are. They're weirdly more physical than any other being or frequency that I connect with. And I do get a sense of peace, and then the love that you're saying, and a massive amount of acceptance. But there's always this abstract element to them, and just a lot of energy being poured back to us, and that they are energy and that they are flow. I'm trying, there's like another thing in there. I don't know if it's healing or moving. It just feels different. I just wish I could explain it better.
How, because you work with the galactics, how, I don't even know if you can answer this question, but how does their energy feel different from the galactic energies?
It's just a vastness. When I was working more with galactic energy, it was more about personality, character, individual. And maybe the galactics I was working with, or the star nations, they were me, they're us, or yeah. But with the dragons, it was, again, it feels more animal, and it feels more collective consciousness, very evolved. And so it's bypassing the individuality, and it's just more immediately of we are a mass consciousness. So it's kind of more evolved. And the weird thing is being more evolved and yet physical. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Kevin.
To me, the very first time I saw one when I was riding my horse, it was very physical. And like you're saying, for me, they do come through very physical. That whenever I go on a shamanic journey and I see another guide, or I see like a lion or something, it's very ethereal. And the dragons for me are solid. Like, as they come through as almost like I could poke it. The other ones, if I did that, my hand would go through. So there's definitely that they're coming through very strongly. And for me, the ones that I connect with, and everyone, having done the Dragon Thunder talks and met 30 people that work with dragons, everyone has a different experience. And I think that's what we need to say is lots of people like to put the dragons in a box, and they always tell me stop doing that, because we're a bit like you humans. You put you in a box, you don't like it. We're so wide and expansive, so don't do that. If we're red, it doesn't mean that we're all the same. Same as if you've got red hair, you're not all the same. So, but their energy for me is definitely unconditional love, but beyond anything you as a human could understand. Like they sort of say, you humans can't understand how much we love you, and your word love's just not strong enough. because you fall in and out of love so easily, you humans, but we don't. We're paired with you with your soul, you know, and then the ones that aren't necessarily paired with your soul, we love you because you're paired with one of our family, and I get that as well. It's like they're individuals, but they're so connected to each other, and they all seem to know each other, and there's just lots of different layers as well, and they all have multiple skills, and I get that they're in many dimensions. So I went on a journey when I was in Peru on some beautiful plants, and I saw 9 dimensions in our reality. Everyone's working away, completely oblivious to the other 9, but the dragons were in all of them and were there solidly in all of them. And I was like, okay. So there's something about them that allows them to transcend all of those realities and be real. Yeah, definitely the unconditional love bit. Yeah, where they're just so they're so soft but so fierce. That they're the ultimate warrior. They've got that soft, caring side for you that they love, and so protective. And that's when the fierceness comes out. If you're being attacked in whatever way, they're there. And yeah, I've seen it a few times on a few journeys, and it's quite. It's like you see your pet dog's like, oh, lovely, and then when it sees something, it's like, well, its teeth, and imagine that in a dragon, much bigger. It's quite scary even to you that's a friend. So yeah, love and fierceness, they cover all that spectrum very well. Yeah, beautiful beings.
Yeah, it's interesting you compare them to dogs, because that is often what I feel like, the representation of unconditional love in the same way that a dog is, but that fierce protectiveness.
Yeah.
I think your volume might still be a little bit low, Alessandra, just to bear in mind next time you speak. And I think mine might be a bit loud, so I've just moved my iPad that's picking up my sound a little bit further away, so hopefully we're a little bit more even. Okay, let's move on to the dragons and churches. So, where to start with this? I guess maybe I'll just share a little of how it worked for me in the beginning. I wasn't expecting to be doing this work with dragons beneath churches. And there's a lot of really old churches where I'm living, and they are on the sacred pagan sites generally. And so I'm talking, some of the churches around here are 1,000 years old. And I was doing work in the churches to kind of unravel some of the energy, the overlay energy that I was finding in churches. So it's like you've got your organic energy layer. And I do feel the dragons created all the energy lines as well on the planet. So I associate those lines with the dragons. And it's like there's an inverted layer on top of that is quite distorted. So I felt like I was unfurling a lot of the distorted layer so that the original organic layer could kind of be free again. And then sometimes with light language, kind of bringing in the cosmic frequencies to connect with that organic layer. And after doing that, I would just sit in the space that had been kind of co-created, and then would just get, oh, there's a dragon beneath here. And going in, I would sometimes find that they were shackled, for example, and I was never quite sure if this was kind of literal or a metaphorical. And I would have a key. It's like an energetic key to open it up. But these days, I just find that our presence and that they're awakening without that they are spontaneously awakening. But it is almost like our energy signature is the key, and that connection that we make with them is enough to kind of awaken them. And I haven't done it so much in the last few years. It's more occasionally that I've been doing that work. Whitby was the last place that I did that, which is on the coast here. So yeah, I'd love to hear how it's been for you. And if you know, oh, I'm going to go and free some dragons today, or awaken some dragons, or work with them, or if it's a spontaneous thing, or if it's a bit of both, and how they are when you find them, and what your experience of that is as well. Yeah, either.
For me, it starts with the word church. The church for me is a physical place that has been around for a few thousand years. But before that, the church was the oak tree, the church was the stone circle, the church was the grove. So for me, I extend slightly the word church to not just the physical churches, because I've found dragons captured, imprisoned, chained, however that is, in places that aren't just churches. So, for example, my picture behind me is a picture of Stonehenge, and there was a dragon captured magically. It wasn't chained or anything. It was just magically captured, and it was put asleep. And it was a dragon that was going to breed, and it was captured by whoever. We're not really sure who. And when it was released, we said, who captured you? And it was just too busy to get away. It said, thank you, but I've been here for millennia and millennia and millennia, and trapped in the land by something at some point. So for me, my very first one was a friend introduced me to it. We went to Stonehenge, and we both got there, and he said, can you feel this energy? And we were both feeling this like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It was really hard on the heart. And he's like, there's something trapped here. I was like, yeah, I'm getting that feeling as well. And he did all of the work and did his mantras, and he's got a crystal that he tapped, and we had to find a certain stone which was outside. I won't say which stone. He tapped that, and then basically this crystal building grew out of the middle of Stonehenge. And like this picture here, a dragon just flew up and out, and as it went through the roof of it, the crystal thing just shattered. And we think that was probably what captured it, and it flew off. And we've actually got, after find it out, we've got a picture of a cloud forming above Stonehenge, and it turns into this huge dragon, and this floats off. And we're both like, are you seeing this? Like, yeah, I'm seeing this. And we took some pictures of it, and like, okay, that was my first introduction to it. I was like, okay. So after that, I was very much into the dragon ley lines, and the fact that there's a ley line, a big one, that runs here all the way up to Norfolk and all the way to Land's End. I'm near Dartmoor, and it runs through the middle of Dartmoor, and a friend of mine does dowsing, and we found it. And for me, the dragons have always been up and down those lines and cleaning them. And at some point, people built physical buildings, churches on top of them, and I get the impression that disturbed those lines, and in disturbing them, it weakened something in the dragons, and it made them more easy to capture. But yeah, I've seen them when they're physically chained. So a friend of mine went on a journey with me in the early days when I was doing journeys and teaching people how to find their dragon, and she said, my dragon's in a dungeon somewhere. And we found out that we thought that was under a church, or it was an old castle. We weren't 100% sure, but it was physically in a cage, and it was shackled. And we were like, it's a powerful dragon. It was awake. Why can't it break through? And it didn't make sense. And she was like, how do I release it? I was like, I don't know. Maybe you're strong enough to break the cage. So I just said that, and she said, well, I'm going to go and do that. So she went back into the journey, and she said, I just pretended I had a staff like Merlin, and went poof, like that, and the thing just shattered, and that's it. The dragon was free, and then it was her dragon. Yeah, and I've seen them in the sea. I've been on a journey, and there was a dragon in the sea, and it was actually Atlantis. We went back in time to Atlantis times, and this dragon had been captured. It had its heart removed, and it was basically dead, but it was almost like it was in suspended animation. And I'd been gifted a heart, a dragon heart, from a amazing lady in Wales. She's a shaman, and she gave it to me, and I was like, why have I got this dragon heart? So I was like, oh, no, like, this dragon's got no heart. So in this shamanic journey, I gave it to it, but it was dead. So, and it was like, so I gave it a heart transplant, by giving it this dragon heart. And it was like, how do I bring it back to life? And I just got the download that I had to raise my kundalini and imagine the serpent energy. And I just did that and sat there, and it literally came out of my head like a shock, and gave the dragon a shock, and its heart started, and it sort of like awoke. And I asked it who it was, and it said it was Seraphina, and it'd been captured again for millennia, like absolute millennia. It's as a gift to me, it blew fire on me, and when I looked up Seraphina, it means the fiery one. But it's covered me in this. It didn't burn me. I was like, oh, thank you. There's a gift in there. I was like, what's the gift? And I go on lots of journeys, shamanic journeys, where I go underwater and I work with mermaids. And I'm like, I have to manage to hold my breath for 3 minutes. And she said, I've given you gills because I am a water dragon. So I grew some gills in my neck in my shamanic journeys. And that's the gift for freeing me. And then she also said, there's thousands of us that were captured millennia and millennia ago. Go find us if you can. So if I go to a church, I just tap in and think, is there something here? But I don't necessarily go out with the idea, right, okay, I'm going to go rescue a dragon. It's more of a case of I go to a church, I feel the energy, I think, there's nothing here. But I haven't found one for a long time. I have to go on lots of walks and walk past the church. So it's more that they're there, and I think you almost like you stumble across them. But maybe some people are more tuned in, are going out and finding them and rescuing them.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. I resonate a lot with what you said, and about the gills as well. That kind of came to me a few years ago. It felt like I'd got these like gills on the side, almost like bearded dragons, yeah. And it did feel that was one of the purposes, to breathe underwater. And I love what you said about the sacred places, that it's anywhere. Yeah, thank you.
There's so many similarities. I have to almost say each word to gilded dragon, sea dragon, Atlantis. Wow. So I'll connect my dots. So my working with dragons under churches was at first accidental and then planned. So now that I'm in Italy, it's only been 3 years, I live near Rome, and there's these big churches, and it's just a bit odd because there's churches everywhere. So you're thinking, why, logically, you don't really need that many Catholic Christian churches, come on. But then I'm thinking, oh yeah, they're obviously on extreme power spots. What's interesting for my recurring theme is everything is about water. So I think I'm doing a self-discovery, thanks to the dragons that reflect back, water. So anytime I'm by a church, but I'm also by massive monolithic stones, because I keep going a few times. I go up to Scotland, and north of Scotland are the Orkney Islands, and there's some very massive stone circles like Stonehenge, and they're not well traveled. You have to take an airplane, like a little tiny airplane, or a ferry boat, timing it on a Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it goes, to go there. So it feels very pristine. And there were trapped dragons too. So whenever I tune in, whether it's a monolithic stone or mostly the churches, for some reason I keep seeing I keep calling it underwater, but it's underground rivers, underground streams. I guess they're called hydro lines or hydro ley lines or caves. And so every time I'm on a spot, It's almost like I get shown the recipe of the different kinds of waterworks that are there. And a recurring theme that I have, and I'll just give an example. There's a church that might be 2,000 years old in a neighboring village, like two villages over. And it's claimed as the church of the ancient Romans and the first church in Italy, 2,000 years old. Well, it's interesting because I looked under it energetically and I saw Atlantis, Atlantean temples, water temples. So a recurring theme that happens for me is that I will see a white dragon coming from the ocean or from the sea, and it's gilded like this, and it comes and it's happy and free, and it will come to free other water dragons. So there's this whole water connection. Sometimes there's dragons under the churches that are not necessarily water related, and I will see them as deformed, hurt, dormant. And when I see deformed, like they look like they are disabled, or even I even want to use the word retarded, because they're not fully functioning. And you used better words, Kevin. You said suspended animation, but there's a certain level of distortion there. And so after working even for a few minutes or half an hour, they blossom or they become awakened, and quickly in front of me, they start growing back to what they were. What I like seeing is that I don't feel like I'm doing much work at all, which is great. I don't have to exert my energy, but just the presence there and asking for assistance is bringing a whole many teams coming together to catalyze the change. So what I like lately is that dragons come to help the dragons, and I feel good. Then I see them freed and happy, and then I see maybe again more blossoming. It's kind of sad to share that there is pain and there is distortion. And sometimes there's pus or what's the word, contamination, or just like when you have a flesh sore and it's rotten. But what's cool is that it quickly gets cleaned and pristined. And another thing that you said, Kevin, which I'm so happy because I have not talked there's nobody else that I know that's doing this or seeing this aside from a local Italian woman who's doing this with me. You mentioned something about, and then there was a crystal building that erected around everything like a force field. I've seen so many of those too. And it often feels again connected to Lemuria, Atlantis, or a living Lemuria, living Atlantis that is completely parallel of fully formed and somehow didn't have the trauma or is phenomenally ahead and futuristic. But I just want to pinpoint that crystalline temples pop up. And then when I revisit the sites, I notice the progress that those temples have made. They look more physical, they look more detailed. So it just feels like the work is quite physical.
Yeah, I love that. And just to say, feel free to jump in, either of you. Don't feel you need me to kind of like bring you in. If there's anything you want to that comes up, feel free to jump in. Where did I want to go from that? Just saying, you've both kind of said this in different words, that it feels like energetically they're in stasis, and they have been in stasis waiting for humanity as a whole to be of a certain frequency or vibratory rate. And even if they're not going to be with us in physical bodies, and I feel they were, there's too many legends of them for me to think that they weren't previously. So I'd love to think that they will be. But it does feel like they're in stasis, and I feel that they are. And maybe it has to be this way, that suddenly, if 100 dragons appeared in a city, that we might get quite alarmed by that. So it kind of feels that it has to be in stages, and that it's starting in an energetic space and starting maybe in a meditation space with people. Yeah, go on.
I really feel that. So I was honored and excited that I had a whole boom. I guess that's how it is with the dragons. I had a boom and I had a massive amount of readings to do for people for a few months, and it was dragon, dragon, dragon readings. And there was recurring themes and messages from the dragons. And one of the recurring messages are, we are physical, we really are physical, we're physical. And they didn't really explain it. I had a sense from them. And then now I'm doing oracle cards of dragons, and they come in and they're showing me, we were the dinosaurs, and I think Kevin, you mentioned that or showed an article too. And I don't know if all the dinosaurs were them or some of them, but just if we start thinking about it of, okay, wait a minute, that's like physical, So you said something that got me excited right now. I think they are pre-downloading so that they are physical, energetic, and getting denser and denser. So all you need is a click, and then we do get to see and sense them soon, some of us.
Yeah.
And if they're, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I've seen them physically as mountain ranges as well. I've seen them in Peru. There's whole ranges. Again, I was on a certain plant medicine that helped me, get past my brain, and I saw that the whole mountain was one, I was like, okay, I must connect. So I did I'm really trying to connect, and I was like relaxed into it, and then about half an hour into trying to connect this dragon that was asleep, it literally just opened one eye and looked at me, and then its lid just went straight shut, and I sort of got, it's not time, I'm going back to sleep. I was like, okay, fair enough. And I get that feeling, and that was one of the things that my friend Ken West, who released the dragon from Stonehenge, said as he tapped into as it left, it sent him lots of information, and he was telling me on the journey back all what it said, and it basically said it was going to create other dragons, and there was going to be a time where there was a certain number of dragons, and the mission that came to me when I talked to my dragons was that there's dragon riders. That's what they call them, i.e. people that connect. You don't physically have to ride the dragon, but that was my mission, to share about dragons as much as possible so that the dragon riders could reconnect with the dragons, and that actually at the end of the day your soul journey has been as long as the dragons have been around, and that somewhere in your soul that you were once the friend of a dragon or a dragon rider or wherever it was. And that's why the collective just loves dragons. Everyone loves dragons, and but why is it the dragons, everyone loves them, and why are they everywhere now, all over the TV, and they're starting to be more depicted as friends rather than foe, which is nice to see that moving around, because they're like a bit like the witch story. The witches were never against anyone, they were never killing people, they weren't evil. There might be a few that were maybe a bit black rather than white. Same with the dragons, they weren't there stealing the maidens and burning up people. That's not true. And it's true that before 1854 or whatever it is, somebody will correct me, we used to call dinosaurs dragons, and it wasn't until some paleontologist or whatever they call themselves came along and termed the word dinosaurs. They're always called dragons before that, and it's our culture as we moved it, but we've got a flag that's got a dragon on it. Lots of our coat of arms got dragons on them, we've got lions on them, so it makes you think, hold on a sec, they probably were real somewhere at some point, and somehow we've lost the history of it. And then you go to China and they're everywhere. So it's the way it is. I'm afraid just ready to turn it off. So yeah, they're definitely physical, and as you say, I think if they came in now physically, we'd send all of our supersonic jets out to shoot them down, because that's the way we are. We think everything's a threat. So until the collective wakes up enough and enough people are peaceful enough to accept the dragons, then they're not going to show, as with all the other beings that are waiting, the fairies and the lions, the Laurians and the aliens, and etc. There's loads of them, not just the dragons, waiting for humanity to get past itself.
And if our energy vibration has dropped, then they're going to seem not physical to us now, because we're in a different there's too much of a differential. But if we were more of a similar vibratory rate to them previously, then they would have been in our kind of eye level.
Yeah, when we had all of our DNA, our 12 strands open rather than the one, we would have been different. We were once more superior than we are currently. That's another story.
I love what you said about the mountains as well, being present in the mountains. There's actually a cliff in Whitby again. I was blown away by the number of dragons in Whitby. It's not particularly known as a dragon place, but it's Sands End. So where Whitby is, you walk down the beach kind of to the left, and it's called Sleeping Crocodile Cliff, but it's also known
Close enough.
yeah, also known as Sleeping Dragon, and it does look like a sleeping dragon. And walking on there, I had a beautiful experience connecting in third eye space. I kind of like flew to the dragon's head and was it was like a mother dragon, and was invited in to the cliff. And it just felt like the cliff was absolutely full of dragons. And the same with the other cliff at Whitby where the Abbey is. And there is, Rich has mentioned this, and I think this is maybe the same story. So the woman who founded the monastery at Whitby, I can't just recall her name, but she was pagan, and then she became a Christian, and she founded the Whitby Abbey. And there on the beach, there are many ammonites on the beach, and it's said that those were snakes that she cast out. But I think snakes and dragons sometimes, the same with St. Patrick in Ireland. There weren't snakes in Ireland, so presumably those were dragons. And Kundalini energy, serpent energy, there's definite overlap between them. That she cast out all the dragons from there, and they became the ammonites on the beach. And there's something about casting out the old ways in that, and the old knowledge, and closing down the Kundalini as well in that.
Mountains and dragons. I've seen a lot of dragons in mountains, and then I've seen dragons as mountain ranges. And there's a friend of mine, Pauline, who might be seeing this, and she's in New Zealand, and she's really connected to a mountain dragon. And then you said something about casting out the snakes. I feel that really strongly. You know why? Because Mother Mary often is depicted here as stepping on a snake. And I find it really interesting that you still have the mother archetypal energy, this goddess energy of Mother Mary, and even though she's casting out the snake or stomping it out, she's still always depicted with it. So I'm like, distortion, back to reflecting, back to what it was, so like it's still there. And it's really a lot. There's something else that you said about the cliffs. Oh, there's something I want to say. So you mentioned the woman Whitby, she founded it, she was pagan, but then not. And then Kevin, you said the dragons, now they're seeing more as good and they're not eating the maidens. So here's something to connect all of that. I've had a really strong vision where I was a priestess, a maiden, virginal maiden, priestess. And virgin, the origin of the word virgin, according to Greek, was pure and sovereign. So actually meant sexually independent. So you have the opposite word of virgin, sexual magic, goddess Isis, priestesses. And so pure maiden, priestess, and I was captured along with my dragon. So the dragon wasn't eating me, and it was a masculine energy, but we were intimately connected. And there's something to do with his tail being connected to, it must be my Earth Star chakra. And I'm being thrown down into a dungeon under the church. And on top of the church, there's other layers of dungeons and things. And then there's the Mother Superior. So I don't know what kind of distortion there was with the Mother Superior nuns of certain churches, but that sort of connected a lot of things for me. And I was kept alive barely, and the dragon was kept alive barely. So I don't know if there was some, I think they were suppressing us to a certain degree. It was a stop it, but there was something about, I think that we were linked, especially the dragon, to that location. And so there was, actually, I'm getting a download right now because I wrote a note. The ancient Romans were very good at stealing energy and using it and having temporary power, but they were not capable of regenerating it themselves. So the ancient Etruscans were the ones that used the waterworks, the ley lines, and everything. So they were using priestesses and dragons to generate the water like we generate electricity. And I think that the Romans, for example, were just then siphoning that energy. And that's why it's funny, the ancient Roman power conqueror, because they were our conquerors, it's funny because we're still using the Gregorian calendar from the Roman, ancient Roman, and the Pope. So it's funny because they were a civilization that at its height really only lasted under 1,000 years, which I find it interesting because Reiki and other things lasted thousands and thousands of years. So that's it. I was saying too much.
Interesting. It was Hilda was the name of the, I just looked it up, the name of the woman who was the abbess, I think is the term. So she would have, it's interesting that she would have known the ancient ways as
That's
well. And
That's a similar, that's the same name. It might even be the same one, but Hilda of Windengard, which is in Germany, that was sort of straddling the pagan world and the Catholic Christian. I don't know how to say her name. She's famous. Hilda,
interesting.
Hilda of Windengard. Windengard.
Kevin, over to you.
It's coming through now. Yeah, when you were talking about Rome and the Pope, for me, the Roman Empire never died. It became the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Church, in its Vaticans in Rome and wherever, have got so many secrets. And I often want to go on a shamanic journey to there to go and rifle through their secrets, because I think in there somewhere it'll prove that dragons are real. Yeah,
It's
I'm not going to
interesting.
share what happens when I do try to go, but it's just that I can't get in. And so
Well, I might be able to give you access with Medusa and dragons. I've
mm,
I've done some things under the Vatican, not by myself, with other shamanic friends, and it's all strategic, and it's actually a bit scary at times. But I think that with enough people having done it, that if you do it now, you'll have more access.
there's more of a way in. But yeah, I definitely, I feel that there's some power that knows there was humans that were more powerful, that there were dragons, and that there was yeah. We're in theory the fourth generation of humans. That's what many people believe, and I think maybe it was the first and second that was when we were more there with the dragons, and that history has somehow been sort of covered up, but somewhere that history is probably written down in some way. I'm always interested by where dragons appear in images all over the place, and obviously many other images of spacecraft and all the rest of it, and it's one of those things that's global. There's pictures of dragons everywhere. It does come back round to they did exist at some point, they were physical, and there's certain information has been suppressed, and I think we're getting to that point now where people are starting to explore the world more. We're finding pyramids and things like that all over the place. There's more than one Sphinx in the world, at least two or three others. I think bit by bit we're uncovering the truth, and the truth will come out. I think when it does, humanity may be more ready to receive the energy of the dragons. Yeah, it's interesting time. I always get from the dragons, it'll happen, but it's not happening yet. It's always like, you humans are in a rush. It's like, well, we only get like 70, 80, 100 years. You guys are around forever. Our souls might be around forever. I always get that. It's like, just patience. It's moving in the right direction. Just yeah. As I always go back to my mission, where they say, remind people that the dragon's there. We love you. Come and meet us. And it's very simple to meet them. And our human brain makes it very complicated. And it's very simple. So yeah, I would say make sure if you've got any sort of feeling in you, like, oh, I've got this little feeling that maybe I had a dragon once, or I was a dragon once. And there's some people are dragons as humans, some people were dragon riders, whatever, or both. Do explore it. Do go down that rabbit hole, and
Are you a
find your
dragon?
Am I a dragon? My higher self is a dragon, and my higher self is a dragon. I was a dragon, and now I'm a dragon rider in this reality, in this form.
Denise, are you a dragon?
I certainly feel that I have multidimensional dragon aspects. And it's interesting, Kevin, you said about that people may have been dragons. I think sometimes our dragon guides are actually ourselves, as a multidimensional aspect of ourselves. And I'm just feeling into what you said about your higher self being a dragon. And that's really interesting, because I see my higher self kind of sometimes looking like me, but sometimes looking like a ball of energy. So that is, I'm just feeling in some more what you say there. How about you, Alessandra?
I have so much going on. I see dragon aspects, fairy aspects. The dragon one is harder to accept as me. I feel there's more blocks, not even personal blocks, just blocks from the collective consciousness. Um, I do usually see my higher self as plasma light, and then it's fun when it takes form. I just feel there's always a lot, like a lot of people, big soul family. It's just lots of collective, lots of different kinds of dragons, lots of different kinds of beings. And it feels exciting because it feels rich and full and kind of like a group hug. But the whole thing of feeling that I am a dragon or was a dragon, I feel that a bit, but I'm always shape shifting. That's even as a fairy, even when I was a kid, the fairy was shape shifting. And so I don't know, maybe I just accept I'm a shapeshifter.
And I definitely associate shapeshifting with dragons. And sometimes it's almost like we need steps along the way.
Yes.
You know, I couldn't have accepted when I started this journey that I was a dragon, or even that I had multidimensional aspects of being a dragon. But I feel we have multiple aspects. So when I was in Byron, I really got in touch with my mermaid aspect. Before that, before I left here, it was kind of my fairy aspect. And I think we're all of those and more. And I think we cannot even comprehend the magnitude of who we are on all those levels.
Yeah, I agree. Our soul has been everything. I mean, the very first quantum regression I did, I was an acorn, and then I turned into an oak tree, and then I grew around me a huge oak forest, and then I was struck by lightning, and I died. And that was my first introduction. I'm like, oh wow! So, I know people that were a planet. So your soul could
Yes.
have been all of
Yes.
those, everything.
Yeah.
So acorn or a planet, and anything in between. Like you say, fairy, dragon, toad, frog,
I had
lion.
a visual that I was a big fat slug caterpillar, and it was so funny because you could feel the joy of what that was. It was just having that shape, and if you wiggled, you could feel the soil, and you could feel or sense or smell the minerals. It was really odd, and then that feeling of consciousness, a consciousness of a planet. I've given readings to people where the energy came in and it was saying, and the guides were saying to the client, you are a goddess of a planet. And if it helps you, understand that it's a small planet. It's kind of like, but I've gotten that quite a few times. And if they are a goddess of a planet, it means also that they are the soul of the planet. And then I've had other downloads where it was me and even other people, that something about clapping your hands and that you're working with awakening the consciousness of a planet, or maybe if the planet is being terraformed or physically formed, that you're collaborating. It often feels like a lot of telecommunication, something like that. But I like what you're saying, Kevin, because I feel like we are everything, and it's maybe we're the ones creating every single element in the universe, and it's just all us. And you can kind of have fun with every aspect of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, linked to the law of one, that we are everything, that we can tap into and become the consciousness of everything, be that a planet or whatever. Even our past lives, now I'm not sure about any of the past lives that I felt that I was. And aside from them all being now and concurrent, but I feel they help me with self-worth in some ways, help me become more of who I am. And I think, that's stepping into our magnitude, stepping into our bigness is huge. And I think often when we start on this journey, we feel very little. So becoming the energy of a planet, or even accepting that you could possibly be the energy of the planet, it's like a big, it kind of just makes you, yeah. I don't even know how to put this into words, but yeah, you're getting it.
It's overwhelming, isn't it? That thought. So you like you say, you have to learn the knowledge little bit by bit, so it doesn't blow your mind. Yeah, because if I went back 10 years and was you're going to be talking like this, I'd be like, "There's the straight jacket," you know. So it has to be released bit by bit, and a lot of people aren't even ready to find the first little step, and then there's many other people that are, and then they want to accelerate it, and you're like, you have to just learn it bit by bit. But some
My
people do wake up like that, don't they? Spontaneously.
my
Everything's
way of my way of linking in with that is, it is overwhelming and it is exciting that to think that we are the planet and consciousness. But what I always like is, if I think of a planet consciousness as a guide to me, then I can have a relationship with it. And if I can think of the star nations or as dragons as guides, then again I'm fostering a relationship. So for me, that's a nice stepping stone towards relating, personifying, and then so at some point maybe it's easier to think that you are that too.
makes sense.
Can I ask you both about working with dragons, in working with either your own energy system or the body of someone else, like in your sessions? Because sometimes I've worked with, say a crow. You could imagine a crow going in and kind of pecking out bits of energy that are ready to go from the body. I'm just intrigued by your experiences of working with the dragons, and even if you've seen mini dragons inside people's bodies. Alessandra, you're nodding. Over to you.
Okay, so I see dragons sometimes on the outside breathing cleansing fire that a lot of times is cold, and it cleanses the stuff out, kind of like steam cleaning. And then sometimes I see dragons that are minuscule and I can't even fathom, and they're like they're the crystals inside of our cells, and they're doing something. It's almost like they're representing how alive a cell is, how a cell or an organ has its own life. And so it's funny because it's really on the inside and on the outside.
Okay.
And for me, there's a range depending on who the healing's for, what the healing needs. the level of the healing, how deep it is. Is it ancestral? Is it physical? Is it an aura thing? Is it a chakra thing? So the dragons will come in, and different ones will come in depending on what is needed. So at the, let's say the furthest level of it is, I do shamanic journey where we do a dismemberment. And a dismemberment is literally that you go on a journey and you imagine that something comes in, either your spirit guides or someone else's, and often I'll bring my dragons in if people haven't got one, and one or two or many of the dragons will surround them, and they will just burn them literally to ash. And the whole idea is it completely obliterates everything that you think you are, and therefore destroys all the attachments and the rest of it, and you are just pure source. And when you come back from the journey, your pure source comes back to you. So the dragons are there to obliterate everything. So that's at the sort of the highest level, and I get that if they wanted to, they could do that to a universe or a planet. It doesn't have to be the individual, but that's what they do, and they're only using a fraction of their energy to do that. It's like, like you flicking an ant. Is that to them? There's nothing. And then there's the other end where they're coming in and they're healing, and normally they're healing with a cold breath or a watery breath or a fiery breath or a ice breath or whatever it is, and they blow it into often the chakras. Often they'll blow it into something that needs removal. So if someone's got cancer or something, then they sort of blow into it, and it either crystallizes or it burns up or whatever. And I see that a lot. But the first time I used dragons in healing, it was for people that have got attachments. So you could break your arm and something comes in to help heal it, and then it stays, or there's some demonic type thing attaches itself to you, and it looks quite not so great. So the dragons come in, and that they're in there. I'm my most fierce mode. I'm not going to destroy you, but it would make sense if you came with me. And they take whatever it is and extract it very carefully so that the human is not hurt, and they take it away. They don't destroy it, they take it to where this thing wants to live better life, and they take it away. And they can do that instantaneously, multi-dimensional, galactic, blah blah blah. Yeah, and sometimes they just come in and they just give people a cuddle. And there's some soft ones. They don't all look like this dragon. Sometimes they're fluffy and sometimes they're furry. Sometimes they've got feathers. Sometimes they're small. Sometimes they're huge. And it's just so completely different. And sometimes they'll just come in, and there's ones that come in, they land on your finger, and it's like a little bird. And it just, yeah, it's so wide. It's, yeah, every time I'm surprised, like, oh, didn't know you could do that. And they're like, of course I can.
Yeah, it's amazing to work with them, and like you say, tiny, minuscule as well, and so small that they could kind of flush all the meridians as well. So go into the meridians and be so tiny that as they're clearing the space as they go through. Anything else burning that wants to come through before we share of anything that we've got going on with the dragons or otherwise?
Well, you got the three of us together, and there seems to be a lot of connections. I feel like we've already spoken a lot and it's already really powerful, but I kind of want to play, even if it's short a little bit, and maybe we can join in a energy transmission together, even if it's just words that are put together.
Sounds good to me. If you're both okay with the timing, sounds good to me.
Good.
Do you want to start this off, Alessandra?
Sure. I have the crystal bowl. Let me know if you can hear it as I turn it on. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm bringing the intention that in the highest good for everyone, maybe there's something that wants to emerge from all of our dragon collectives. So let's play. So you're both in England, and I can feel the connection with specifically the churches that we've been talking about, and the land of England, and the ancientness of the churches. We mentioned 1,000 year old and 2,000 year old churches, and I can feel Rome, and I can feel the earth and lava. I'm living on a volcano. Actually, it's known as a super volcano. So what I can see is the land, the dragons and the land, interconnecting us and spreading out to the world.
Beautiful.
I can see a lot going on in Earth, like inside the Earth, and Egypt came to mind as well. And I feel for everybody listening, wherever you are, that your land is coming into this and being activated. And I'm seeing very crystalline lines of energy. And it's almost like that through this conversation, through this, through what we're bringing together, that more lines, crystalline lines of energy are appearing in the planet. And I'm feeling the presence of the crystalline dragon collective. And I'm seeing that framework around the planet as well. And it feels like there's many star systems that are aligned already or becoming, like I'm feeling the presence of stargates, and almost like these lines of energy are going through the earth, but they're also connecting up and outwards to different star systems.
I definitely see that, and you're describing it so beautifully. Yeah.
And the energies that I've been connecting with recently, and I'm getting the nudge to bring their energy into this, and they describe themselves as the diamond matrix dragon collective, and their frequency feels very fine, very pure. They're not earth dragons as such, but they're coming in now at this time. So I just ask us to just be open to their energy. I'm feeling their energy going into our heart space if we wish for that to happen. So if we're comfortable with that, just to kind of give a yes to that, and also into the waters of the planet as well, and that very pure crystalline plasma water, feeling that it's connecting with that and with our crystalline plasma waters inside our bodies.
I'm happy you brought them up because I could feel them. The diamond matrix that you're bringing in, and I can see it and I can feel it. And I'm happy you mentioned the water because then I saw this white water dragon that I guess I'm bringing up in the upcoming summit that Kevin's at also. So I could feel these presences coming in, and I can see them again back to being physical, energetic. they're wanting to be seen, they're wanting to show up. I think there's something about the dragons wanting to be seen, and they're helping us because a lot of us, it's time for us to be seen, in that time for me to see myself or value myself. And a lot of light workers or star seeds, there's a lot of this self-value that I think is coming and is here in 2024.
Mhm.
Anything you're getting being shown, Kevin? Anything you're feeling?
Yeah, I feel like I need to get the drum out. Disappears. I'll tell you what I'll do. As you can see, we've got two dragons at the top. We've got the dragon at the bottom. And that's what I was feeling, is that there's dragons already here on Earth that are of the Earth, but there's dragons coming in from out of the galactics. And what I'm getting is that there's humans that are afraid to admit that they wish to have a dragon connection, and the dragons are coming in to say, borrow our courage. We have immense courage. Does this come through? So imagine those grid lines connecting us throughout the Earth, throughout the galaxy. Imagine them being cleared. Imagine this sound vibrating down through each grid line, clearing each grid line, clearing it strongly to your heart. Imagine that clear connection. Borrow the courage of your dragon. Step into who you are meant to be, with the courage of your dragon. Borrow their courage.
I was feeling the Avalon dragons and the Glastonbury energy strongly when you when you showed the drum. And just feeling that connection with Avalon, with Albion, the Albion lines of Britain. And now I'm seeing Uluru. And so feeling the connection in the Southern Hemisphere with New Zealand as well.
And if we are drawing towards a close, I have a little bit of crystal harp. There's something about the gift of integration and interpretation, and a lot of gratitude. I feel gratitude from myself, different aspects of me, and I feel gratitude from many, many different dragons that are around us. Back to being seen.
Beautiful. So feeling that heart connection between us all, everybody who's joined us since we started, everybody who's been with us, feeling that heart-to-heart connection with the dragons, with Earth, the sun, the cosmos. And just have a little feel into your heart space now. And if you were here at the beginning and you felt into your heart space then, just feeling that it might be a little bit more open now. And imagine that every cell of your body has a smile. And you might feel your mouth just raising up at the sides into a little smile on your face. And remembering to drink plenty of water. And if you can, go out in nature in the next few days and just connect with the trees, connect to some water. And if you haven't done this already, maybe just put the feelers out to your dragon. Any dragon that you wish to connect with. And if you've never connected to the dragon realm, just declaring your intention to do so. And knowing that they're ready, they're smiling, they're waiting. Anything you'd like to add, Kev?
As you say, connect to your dragon. As I was playing the drum, that they were saying, "Fear not, borrow our courage." That's what I kept hearing all the time. Fear not, borrow our courage.
Beautiful. So you're both on this upcoming summit. If you'd like to share a little bit about the summit and anything else that you've got going on, that would be amazing.
I'll go. So the white dragon that came in now too, if anybody remembers, and it's connected to the Etruscans and the water work. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the white dragons and the white dragon priestesses. We only have about half an hour, but a lot can happen. Kevin, what are you doing?
There are so many summits now. It's amazing because the year of the dragon is coming up. This is the summit that's the year of the dragon summit, isn't it? That's the first one where I'm on. I'm just literally sharing the energy of dragons, how I met dragons, how people can connect with their dragon, and going a little bit deeper into that. So that's the first summit of the year.
January 27th, right?
That's the one. Yeah, it's gone mad this year. I'm on many podcasts talking about dragons because it's the year of the dragon. It's beautiful. I think many people are gonna connect. I've seen so many people saying, "Oh, when was I born?" And that's, "Oh yeah, it's the year of the dragon." Yes, it's my year, and it is your year.
And you have the Facebook page as well, the Dragon Thunder Facebook page.
Yeah, there's a group on Facebook called Dragon Thunder as one word, and it's a very active group with many people sharing about dragons, and all of the speakers that were in the Dragon Thunder Summit in 2023 are on there sharing. So you come on there if you've got any inkling about dragons, you'll find someone there that you resonate with. You may not resonate with the way I talk about dragons, but you might resonate with many of the others. Which is beautiful. And of course, we're doing it again this year, and the Dragons challenged it to be 24 hours of dragons in 24. So we're starting in Australia, coming to the UK, and then heading off into the US of A, so that we actually have 24 hours of dragons, 24 speakers. So I'm excited about that. I'll probably have to have matchsticks in my eyes by the end of it. The energy will be strong.
Awesome. Have you any individual events coming up as well?
I've got well, every month we have the Dragon Talks. So that's the first Sunday of each month. and that there's an open invitation there for anyone who wants to talk. So if you're one of those people who's a bit camera shy and only wants to talk for 30 minutes or 30 seconds, then come on. So we have sometimes we have 2 or 3 speakers, sometimes we have 5 or 6. People come and share their story about dragons, and every story is a little bit unique. So if you want to come and speak, please do. It's not about me, it's about me sharing you to the world so that people can go, oh, that resonates with me. That seemed to me. I heard a thing about church and I heard a thing about Atlantis, and something will grab your attention. So don't be afraid to come on. You haven't got to be some big top speaker or anything. Though we do have those as well, which is beautiful. So I had someone talking recently about how to become a millionaire with your dragons. So make sure you catch that on the replay. And that's an amazing one. And yeah, I mean, I'm often in Glastonbury. So if you're ever in Glastonbury bi-monthly, I'm normally there up on the tour, and I collaborate with other people. So I do lots of shamanic stuff. So like past life regressions and ancestral healing, which is strong. And the dragons often come in and assist with the clearing of your lineage, because obviously that's quite powerful. And yeah, and then the other one that came into me recently was 27 dragons came in and downloaded the runes of the dragons. So there's a website called runesofdragons.com, and that's all about the dragon runes, and they're beautiful. They came in and sort of gave a brief explanation of who they are, and then say to people, you need to connect with us. And there's this beautiful grove that they take people to, and all the runes are in this grove in the stone, and that the dragon of the west or of the rainbow will come in and assist you with whatever it is you need that day. And they downloaded some beautiful runes, and I've got some rainbow ones and some wooden ones. Yeah, but when they came in, there was 27 all trying to talk at once. I'm like, I'm a human, please, one at a time. But yeah, I love working with the dragons and lots of shamanic stuff.
You've got a retreat that you're facilitating in Peru in April.
Yeah, I'm assisting, so I'm going as the John player and the holding space as a sort of shamanic practitioner, and we'll get the true shamans coming in, the Peruvian ones, which is beautiful. They come in and their energy is ancient because they've been born into it rather than remembered or learnt it. That's beautiful. We go to Machu Picchu, and this time I'm going down to Lake Titicaca, which is the sacral chakra of the world. And yeah, Uluru calls me, and Mount Shasta calls me, and obviously we've got Glastonbury and Stonehenge here, which are chakras of the world, and those lines always make me think they need clearing a bit. So yeah, I'd love to visit all of them at some point.
Beautiful. Alessandra, more?
I have a water priestess retreat. We're not gonna, it's a retreat, it's 4 days. There's only 6 spots, there's only gonna be 6 of us. And we're not really gonna be going energetically under churches. So it's physically here. I'm an hour south of Rome, and there's a ton of ancient Etruscan sites. And it's related to, again, water priestesses. It's not overtly about water dragons, but it depends on who comes, how open we'll be about that. So anybody interested, contact me. And yeah, and I'm doing dragon oracle cards, and I just want to show you one dragon picture.
When's the Etruscan thing?
It's April 24, 25, 26, 27. Hold on. Can you see her? No.
Comes and goes. Oh yeah, just there.
Oh, okay. I can't.
I think because the colours are the same as your background, it's fading in the background a bit. But
it's okay. I can't take the background off. I'll have to do too many clicks. But yes, I'm excited about the Water Priestess retreat. It's going to be a surprise.
I'd be there, but I'm in Peru. Are we going to meet up, aren't we, in Rome sometime at some point and go around?
I'm going to come visit you, and then you come visit me, so we both get to
dragon hunting.
Yeah.
And I have pretty much monthly dragon immersions that I've got going on, and the next one is the ones that I brought in then. His frequency is like nothing that I've felt before. It's yeah. When I brought their message through, it was so hard to keep my eyes open. It's just beautiful. So that is next Thursday at 6:30. It's a Zoom call, and there will be a replay. And I've got the information on my page as well. And any more of these dragon chats, the previous ones are on the Inner Peace with Denise YouTube channel that I've got. I've got a new YouTube channel called Heartful Living with Denise, but I've not really put too much on there yet. I think that's all I will share about for now. And thank you both so much. This has been an awesome chat. Really powerful, really activating. So thank you both so much, and thank you to everybody who's been with us, because it is always a co-creation, a weaving of all of our energies together. So thank you, those of you on the live and those of you who will catch the replay, and we will see you again soon. So I'm going to stop the live. Thank you again, much gratitude.